Ethan here. TTVE_thing. We're live almost every single day on Twitch, weekdays like 3:30 p.m. EST, and then on the mornings like 7, 8 a.m. Boys, let's get right into it. We are watching Saintontatos. Changli Was a mistake. I'm not gonna lie to you. He's right. He's right. He's right. I'm sorry to tell you. He's right. So let's talk about it. A lot of people think this is a controversial take. The reason why, and I haven't watched this video yet, as you can see, no pre-watch. We're at 0 seconds. I just see his face. Changli, I was running Changli with Shorekeeper and Sanhua, and then Camilla came out. And so that team composition, unfortunately, just died in the ditch. And Changli's outro is supposed to buff another character, which most DPSs don't do that. And her 2E cooldowns are pretty long. So she's like really great in quick swap. And she's genuinely one of my favorite units in the game. But she has absolutely the weirdest timing of all time. And Sarah, how are you? Have a great day today. But yeah, let's break this down and see what he has to say.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is time.
Bro's not slick. He showed boobs.
All right, ladies.
No, I think she's cool. No, never mind. I think she's good. Yeah, no, she's good. She's good.
Gentlemen,
she's an ADHD unit for sure.
A little bit something controversial. And today, what I wanted to go over was one of the biggest mistakes that Kuro Games has made when it's come to their character design. And there's a reason why, ladies and gentlemen, I've got Changli up here. I'm not talking about her visual aesthetic, not talking about where her task mark is placed, not talking about anything when it actually...
Bro, in all 7 months of this game, I didn't even realize where her task mark was. That's actually kind of crazy. But my bigger question is, why y'all looking there? Respectfully, why y'all looking? Let her cook, you know?
It comes to how the character looks at
all. Do boob zooms because they're huge?
The problems with the character's attribute, fusion over here, and, well, let's be honest here, the design of her kit. My firm belief, especially after looking at the state of many people's accounts, especially looking at the active state of the roster and what other fusion characters are able to provide, I do believe that Changli had her kit slightly mismanaged, or in a lot of ways released too early. It's safe to say that Changli was one of the very
1000% released too early
in the game, right?
1000%.
We just take a look over here.
Too many fusions.
That Changli...
I actually disagree with you. I think there's not enough fusions. I don't think there's really enough straight up just DPS fusion people, and Brant will not be a straight up DPS fusion unit. He's 100% right in the fact she got released way too early. We need an actual fusion damage dealer. She will be good with Brant. Listen, I'm not saying she won't be bad with Brant, but Brant's field time seems like it's going to be pretty high. And although he could do kind of like damage as well, it doesn't feel like there's a hyper carry team. You know what I'm saying? Like, it still kind of feels like a quick swap team in a sense. So the only real DPS we have is Chixia and Encore, and those were dropped to 1.0. The other fusion characters after were Changli, which she's not a real DPS, and Brant is a buffer for Changli. But we are actually missing a true, genuine DPS fusion character that outro does not give a buff somewhere else. So, you know what I'm saying? I love her. She's my favorite. Her and Jinxie is still my favorite team in the game. But we have to be honest about it, though. Mortefi's a sub DPS, Mortefi's a sub 2, exactly.
Was released in version 1.1, and she was released
Emperor, we'll get on
July 22nd.
Yeah,
basically 6 months ago. And so with that in mind, ladies and gentlemen, it is fair to say, when we look at the roster as a whole, she doesn't really have a best-in-slot partner. She doesn't really...
Ladies and gentlemen, second Saintontatos video just hit the fusion, the Genshin... Changli main towers and Reddit.
Have somebody that she meshes super well with. She doesn't have somebody that fully leverages this outro skill buff and works well with her in a dual DPS team. And it's fair to say that she does have some great partners. She has somebody like Zhang Liao that gets the job done in dual DPS. Zhang Liao's Electro. He doesn't gain the full benefit from her outro buff. You have a character like Encore.
Time for another adventure?
That doesn't even
Changli's just on fire.
Half of her outro buff. Because that buff to liberation that Changli provides, it only works on Encore's forte.
Wait. Hold on a second. Brant is scaling off of normal attacks, right? So is his Resonance Liberation considered normal attack damage? I don't know. Does anyone know? I know it's in the game. I know the kid is in the game now. Yes. Wait, I don't even remember the question. So his Resonance Liberation is normal attack, or his Resonance Liberation is Resonance Liberation damage? Cast midair, my moment. When normal attack or Resonance anchors. Oh, I guess it's considered Resonance Liberation damage then, right? So maybe video, not gonna lie. What's going on, Kay? Nah, he's kind of cooking. I don't know. What's going on, Vaney? If this counts as Resonance Liberation damage, then he definitely gets like that buff. And Forte considered basic attack damage. Forte's considered basic attack damage, but I didn't know if the Resonance skill was considered that as well. But if that's the case, then yeah. So he's really not doing anything. Yo, Legend, what's going on, brother? Good morning, man. Hope you have a great day today. Damn you, welcome in. Sanhwa just keeps on getting better and better. Sanhwa, listen, man. Sanhwa will never take a back seat, brother. Sanhwa stocks. Yo, what's good, Blue? And Nando, good morning. We're getting the internet mad today.
Circuit.
How are you, brother?
Ladies and gentlemen, you swap off field with this character and lose Changli's outro buff when you actually ever activate this in a normal rotation.
Fusion's in a bad spot.
Encore's really only getting her 20% fusion damage buff.
Yeah.
Sanhwa's a better buffer for her. You could say that Chisha's somebody, right, that benefits from Changli and that can use a lot of the buffs that she provides. But guess what, ladies and gentlemen? This playstyle doesn't really work that well in dual DPS. Chisha's somebody that dedicates a lot of field time to getting good results. She needs something where she builds up attack up to 30 times from all the different bullets that she's hitting, and she hogs a lot of field time to actually get her full damage potential out. And that means that, well, Changli, a person that wants those swap windows, that wants something that's cancelable, doesn't really work that well with her. And even though she does have a liberation that she can use, and that does deal a good bit of damage, well, the playstyles in the character kits just doesn't really synergize between the two. And so with that, Changli, ladies and gentlemen, she's had a bit of struggle finding a place on the roster where she can fully leverage all of her strengths. And today I wanted to break down how Kuro honestly could have just done it better. And I understand there's currently a lot.
Yeah, they could have just taken her out the game. I think, they could have just definitely taken her out the game and then move on with their life. No, I love how unhinged Saint Shad is. That I should remove chat from the video. Nah, there's no reason to remove chat from the video.
Speculation about what Brant is going to do, the fact that he's fusion,
maybe
the fact that he's a
maybe
sword.
he recorded this
People are
prior.
thinking that he's gonna have some synergy with Changli, and you could only hope that there's gonna be some synergy with Changli because Brant's releasing in, let's be honest, guys, like a month from now. And keeping in mind how long Changli's been in the game, thinking that Brant's going to be one of her ideal partners, that's...
Ivan, they can't do that because none of the characters do that. So it'd be crazy to do it for just Changli and not anyone else. And that would also be a little too broken. The best way to... I'll give me one second. The best way to deal with this situation is just make a real fusion DPS and Changli is the sub DPS. Right, Brant's outro is also like sub DPS type style as well. I don't think this team will be bad. I'm not saying they'll be bad. I'm gonna play Brant because he's sexy as hell and like he does flippy shit. But like, like it's kind of they need a real fusion DPS. They need a Zhang Liao. They need a Jinxie. They need a Carlotta of fusion as opposed to just a buffer to buff this unit. You know what I'm saying? We'll work with Brant and Zany Trust Cope. I don't know about Zany, brother.
That means that it will have been literally 7 months since this character's release that they're finally getting somebody that they work with on the roster. 7 whole months, over half of a year since her release, that she's actually getting somebody that she can work with. There's a reason, ladies and gentlemen,
there's me?
that Changli has not gotten a rerun yet. There's a reason why across version 1.0 to 1.2, the 1.2 characters have already reran before she's had a rerun yet. And that's because, in my opinion, ladies and gentlemen, she was released far too early. So with that, let me go into what I think would have been a better way to manage this character.
My
honest opinion is that this kit, its complexity, was a little bit too early for the release of the game. And I think...
What's good, Raj? Oh, gotcha, Jesus, forgive what I've said. Oh, good, brother. You just gotta give 500 subs and I'll forgive you. What's going on, Zara? Good morning. Good morning.
Just good morning, man. The role of these two characters.
Would you like?
It is my honest opinion that Camelia's kit,
would you like a fun game?
Being basic attack focused, should honestly have just been given to Changli. Imagine, ladies and gentlemen, if Changli was a basic attack focused fusion main DPS that worked with a...
Well, it doesn't matter that she's fun. it doesn't matter that she's fun because again, I think she is the most fun character in the game, and she brings out a different type of play style. 1000%. She brings out that quick slot play style that is super fun. But at the end of the day, it does matter. No, it doesn't. I don't care about the meta. I'm happy you don't care about the meta. But realistically, right now, at this very moment in time, there's no one who 1000% synergizes with her and gets full potential out of her kit. So taking away your personal feelings from what the actual fundamental flaw is of the character, again, you don't have to care about meta. It is what it is, right? But we also have to not pretend like this isn't a problem. So we'll get her DPS. Yeah, no, I mean, listen, it'll happen all the time, like with Gigi, etc., etc., etc. I still love her, and I'm still gonna run her and shit. And also, she's great in Weewa. She is really good in Weewa, especially with that one boon. But there's still a problem. If they would have made it normal attacks, she would have gotten a bigger buff to Encore, and probably have gotten way more use. Now, again, since she's so versatile or adaptable, whatever you want to say, you could fucking do other things, like you said, Carlotta. Yeah, it goes crazy, but again, that doesn't change the fact that they released her at a time where there was no best in slot unit for her. It's kind of a weird decision to drop a character that pretty much doesn't 1000% synergize with anyone 6 months ago. We're now getting someone who synergizes with them, but the fact of the matter is we still don't 100% know how that team is going to function, because Brant, while he does have sub DPS potential, a lot of his kit is personally buffing his personal damage. So it's a very weird situation. They just need a fucking straight up fusion DPS without the outro buffs and fucking can just function. That's it. Even if she buffed normal attacks, her Concerto doesn't allow her to work as a sub DPS. That to her Concerto region's pretty trash. Yeah. You know? Can you say Gianna's trash? Gianna's trash. I got you, brother.
Character like Sanhua, she would have immediately had an amazing partner right off the rip that she could have worked with, and players would have been able to get full value.
We could talk about Gigi
out of her signature, and they could have hit the ground running in version 1.1.
Great, I did do this with Shorekeeper
and had a very, very strong.
But it got nerfed
she
once
would have
Camellia
had
came
things
out.
like the whole budding state, the ephemeral, all of these different mechanics that Camellia has. And just imagine if Camellia was released, but just in a fusion version called Changli. Similarly, right? We could have also seen Rosia maybe as like that fusion sort of buffer, that fusion sort of character. Yeah. And then
yo, what's going on, brother? I appreciate the follow, man. Thank you, Wolfman.
As well, giving players a free-to-play option from that point of view in the whole hyper carry setup. Because currently, right now, Rosia is a little bit restricted in a sense. And if Changli had been that fusion basic attack focus limited 5-star,
6 months earlier,
my oh my, we would have had even more synergies down the road if Rosia had been just a fusion version of her buff.
Yeah, he's right.
What she's able to provide to a character like Camellia. And so you might be thinking now, well, Saint, what would Camellia do then if her kit would have just been Changli's? Or if Changli would have just had her kit,
Genshin.
And I kind of already spoiled it. I think that Camellia...
Why it takes so long to... I love your videos. Yo, I appreciate you so much, brother. Thank you. It means the world to me. Dab me up. I hope you have a great day. Thank you, homie. We're recording one right now.
As a Havoc character,
so W video.
Just
you just made a cameo.
Kit. Imagine, right? If Changli's outro skill instead read fusion damage amplified by 20% and resonance liberation damage amplified by 25%, or until the resonator switched out for 10 seconds. Imagine if this had been the case for Camellia, and she just has the rest of Changli's abilities, the quick swap playstyle. Now, ladies and gentlemen, think about it this way. Camellia on release in version 1.4 would have had 2 amazing partners. They would have had Havoc Rover as a partner, a character that deals a sizable amount of resonance liberation damage, right? Look at this insane multiplier of over 1,000.
That's a lot of damage.
Huge nuke that they have in their kit. Camellia would now be a dual DPS partner for Havoc Rover, and obviously they've got that relationship in the lore. Very, very deep connection. And there would be an incentive now to use these 2 characters on basically any situation where you would need Havoc damage. And
I also think you could have just left Camilla alone as well and just give Changli a normal attack buff. But yeah, I get what he's saying. Saint's cooking. Changli quick swap is the best sub DPS. Yeah, I mean Changli quick swap's amazing. But also the percentage of the players who use Changli quick swap compared to people who actually just play the game normally, it's just not there, you know. Also, was good, brother. Yeah, but I mean,
That could have been amazing. That could have been
there's
a
Veiny
good
Cock.
little like lore thing, and I think a lot of players would have enjoyed playing their Rover and Camellia side by side. So that's a bit of a loss there, in my opinion. You would have had this built-in synergy between the two characters, and guess what? There would have been another one as well. You would have been able to pair a dual DPS Camellia who has Changli's kit but is still Havoc with Danjin too. And with Danjin's outro skill buff, right? The one that buffs Havoc damage by 23%. You could have played a dual DPS team with Camellia in her Changli version and Danjin, where they simply buff each other. Because Danjin's Resonance Liberation also does a pretty decent chunk of damage as well. And then this general Havoc buff would have worked for all of Camellia's, the Changli version of Camellia. It would have worked for all of her damage too.
Yeah, yo, it was good, Jack. I appreciate the follow, brother.
It would have been an amazing
man. Welcome in. Hope you have a great day.
Well, if you wanted to make that Changli version of Camellia do more damage. And so when we think about it this way, ladies and gentlemen, I do believe that there was a lost amount of potential.
Doggy, I love you. There's like 20 days till branch.
Here. A really big miss on the devs' end, where having these two characters' kits basically switched completely while keeping their attributes the same would have been better for the early game experience for a lot of different players, would have given deeper lore connection and teamplay for
Holy
Camellia.
jiggle.
And I do think in general, it wouldn't have been a very big loss at all. The only loss you could say is that Encore would have been quote-unquote power crept by Changli being basic attack focused or having Camellia's kit. But let's be honest here, ladies and gentlemen. Encore has kind of already been power crept by Camellia because they both deal basic attack damage. If you don't have Rosia, you're pairing Sanhua with Camellia every single time.
Brant is also going to be, like you said, I think just honestly a pain in the ass to build. I actually kind of want to do like a little bit of a Brant build without like an energy regen weapon and see how it goes later. Yeah, I definitely get what you're saying. Camille should stay in T0 and just need to drop down because Carlotta would take priority GGT. Best is not team. We'll go over that in a moment. Brother. We can touch on that in a moment after we finish this. Also, good morning, Loon. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Have a team anymore. Unless you pulled Rosia. And in that situation, like I mentioned before, if Rosia had simply been a fusion basic attack buffer in that hypothetical situation I was talking about, then Encore already has a partner, and then Sanhua's free as well to do whatever she wants. And so in terms of like the overall life cycle of the game, I think that this is what I would have done differently if I was the Kuro devs.
Yeah, I would have just played Genshin.
It would have made Changli into a hyper carry, which is a much better character to release in 1.1 of the game, instead of like the dual DPS reliant teammate that she currently is right now. When the game
I got no pants on in case they don't
just simply didn't, and honestly currently doesn't have the roster to support her. While if
all right, maybe we should just take chat out the video. Maybe we should just take chat out the video. I don't know. Maybe Saints editor might want to, I got Dinos.
Camellia had just had Changli's kit, but stayed Havoc. She would have already had two amazing partners right off the rip that she could have worked with Danjin and Havoc Rover. And I think it would have put the characters in, I'm going to be honest, better meta positions overall. It would have given a lot more potential to this character a lot earlier on in her life cycle. And let's be honest, ladies and gentlemen, there are a lot of people, a lot of individuals that pulled Changli thinking she was going to be a main DPS, that pulled her weapon, and then they tried playing her as a main DPS, they tried playing her in hyper carry, and they were very, very disappointed by the results, especially compared to prior releases like Encore, like Jian, like Jinxie. And to me, when that sort of differing of expectations, right, the unintended results were coming out, I think it's fair to say that a lot of people might have put down the game because of that differing level of performance.
Yeah, he's cooking, man. Guys, he's right. It's unfortunate that she sucks. I mean, she doesn't suck, but like she sucks for the average player. Like you're not going to tell the average player to pull Changli and do quick swap. Like that's just not happening. Most people play on their fucking phones, and phone gameplay is god awful. Also, Salon, good morning, brother. Welcome in. Good morning.
So do keep in mind, right, this sort of 2020 look back. This would have kept the kits in the game. This would have basically just turned Camellia into Havoc Changli and Changli into Fusion Camellia. And so all of the playstyles would have still been in there, all the visual designs. Obviously, there would have been different work done by the devs to develop it in this way. But in my opinion, this would have been the best way to go to both retain players and just have more synergy built into the roster. And it would have put both characters in, I think, a better position overall. So let me know what you think about this sort of hypothetical situation. Was Changli and her design honestly a mistake? And whether or not you think that this sort of framing instead would have been better for the game's health overall. Let me know what you all think. Peace out.
Yeah, no, it was a good video. I don't think you had to change Camilla at all, but yeah, I mean, over like Lavender said, the casual players are like 70% of the players. Exactly, yeah. Casuals pull for looks, no way. I just caught it straight for being on mobile. I'm just saying, man. Also, Yuria, good morning. Yeah, overall, great video. It is what it is. Sadly, Changli mains on Reddit are going to be malding, but she's just not good for casuals. I mean, it is what it is, right? With that being said, YouTube, I love you. I'll see you.